And so we're going to do this a little different for Ask Coach. I'm actually going to ask you a question because it's been burning in my mind. I've been talking to a few other coaches around the programs here, Coach Barnes and a couple others, and the transfer portal for college basketball. How do you see that's affected high school basketball?
Well, there's a couple things, right?
I'm ready. I got my notepad. I'm ready, Coach.
Hey, first of all, and seriously, if any of you high school players, especially on the guy side, and I think it benefits both. If you guys are not following Coach Brandon Barnes at Cal State Bakersfield, you might need to follow him because he's dropping gems left and right, especially when it comes to the transfer portal, recruiting, understanding. Like, he's dropping gems like left and right.
Yep.
Follow him if you're not, right?
Yep.
Now, let's talk about this is the last year of the COVID year, right? And so a lot of these players have gotten like 5th years. Some of them have gotten like 6 years. Some of these dudes have been playing college bowling for 6 years. And I don't know how that, I think they got a year when COVID existed and they got another year. I don't know all the rules on that. But so you add that in with the transfer portal. And so we start talking about, and there's so many different directions I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to start with this one first.
Start easy and slow for me, Coach.
I was looking at Tennessee, University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Made it to the Elite Eight. I think it's 2 guys that were in the starting 5, went into the transfer portal. Like, make that make sense to me. Help me understand that, right? And a lot of people was like, oh, well, they're going to get more money in an NIL deal.
Yeah. How long is that going to last, though?
I'm not trying to count someone else's money. I'm not trying to get anybody's bank account. I don't know every kid's situation. But a coach believes in you. You know you're going to get the freedom to play.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, I'm just trying to understand it because I see it way too often. And then I see some kids that went into the transfer portal last year, they went to a different team, and their numbers actually went down. I'm going to leave the names out of it.
Yeah.
Numbers went down, and they didn't get drafted. Okay? I'm gonna use one example, right? Like, and I don't know Caleb Love. I don't know him personally. I saw him coming as a freshman in North Carolina, and I thought, like, man, this kid can play.
Yeah.
He can play. And I thought he was going to come out after his freshman year, one and done. Went back to North Carolina for his sophomore season. I don't know the circumstances. Following that, he went into the transfer portal. And I think it was after his sophomore year or junior year. Don't quote me on that. Last year, he played at Arizona. Got Pac-12 Player of the Year. And I know he put his name in the draft. I don't know where he's at, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
Here it is. You see this kid, like, what made NBA teams if he was projected to be a first round pick after his freshman year? How do you
back off?
How do they back off? Like, what's going on? And then you look at, the point guard from Duke this year. He's a senior. He gets a COVID year, but he just put his name in the portal. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't go back to Duke, where him and his coach, they had this incredible embrace after the game, and you can see their bond. And I'm like,
yeah.
Well, why is he leaving Duke? I don't know the answer to these things, but I'm asking this question because it's mind-boggling to me. If I feel like you're in a good situation where you have a coach that believes in you, there may be some adversity, but adversity is not a bad thing.
Right.
What's going to make me work? And then you have the guys that go into the portal, okay, and they didn't play much their freshman year. And they're going to leave. They have 0 numbers, but they're going to leave to go to another place.
Who's going to recruit that?
Who's going to like, if you're coming from a D2 and you're like averaging like 25, there's going to be some mid-major D1s or even some major D1s. And we saw what Oakland did, that they made their roster off the transfer portal pretty much. A lot of these kids, and I know they're starting center. He's getting ready to move up, but he balled out. That kid showed he can play against anybody, right? That is a step up, which you know how you perform.
Yeah.
But what's happening is some of these kids are just jumping in the transfer portal, and you hear Deion Sanders talk about it, you hear many coaches talk about it. You're just chasing the bag.
Yeah.
And be careful with who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Educate
yes.
yourself. There's a lot of people that are only with you for the short term. They're only with you for what you can do for them now. But when it's all said and done, like, you got to know who has been through that grind with you, who has been through the struggles and the beginnings. That's important.
Yeah.
And then you go to some of these kids that are coming out of high school and how it's affected some of these high school kids.
Oh,
Right? And where some kids may haven't had an opportunity to sign with a school in like November. And they're like, no, I'm waiting for that bigger offer.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the most college coaches are going to the transfer portal first, unless you're some top 10 kid.
unless
Like
you're
a
a
McDonald's
standout.
if you're not a McDonald's All-American,
Like,
I'm not saying you're not going to get recruited, but I'm just saying that portal kid,
things work against you. Yeah.
proven, maturity. They already know whether or not you're coachable or not.
Yep.
They know these things. They know your maturity level. You've been away from home. You've been away from mom.
Yep.
You've been away from dad.
Kind of know what they're gonna get. Like,
know what they're going to get.
Yep.
If I can get a kid from JUCO that is the most of the kids from JUCO, they're grinding, whether it's they struggle with grades or whether they're like they got overlooked. They're going to make a name for yourself. Look at the kid Connect from Tennessee.
Yep.
Look at his journey. Now the guy's going to be a top 15 pick in the NBA draft. So there's so much on that transfer portal, man.
Well,
So much.
even think of it from a coach's perspective. Some of them only have like 2-3 years to build a team and do something, or they're gone. And
Yep.
so they also have to think about themselves in the sense of like, hey, I want a coaching job. I want to pay my bills. I want to provide for my family. So if they can go to like the portal and they
Yep.
get, like you said, like a known asset for their team, proven player, like as a high school kid, you don't want to give them reasons not to recruit you, right? So all those things we talked about, your attitude, defense, practice, like, and
there's so much of that. Even social media.
yeah.
Like what
What are you putting on social media? What do you like?
there's times, man, I would see kids post stuff and I'm like,
I'm like, that's not, you don't want people to see that. Like,
even your music
or yes.
on your on your reels.
Yes.
I've heard college coaches say this. I literally turned away from a kid because of the music that they were playing. Now that's, like I said, everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
This is just information from
We're trying to help.
that I'm gathering from coaches. Like I ask a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
I'm constantly, I want to learn. I want to educate myself because I want to be able to help the kids I coach and also my boys. I want to help them understand that whole recruiting process in today's day and age because it's much different. It's not like it was when I was in high school or my brother or my
so
friends around. It's a whole different ball game. So you have to understand that. And then how do I make myself stand out on and off the court?
Yeah.
Man, books, kids, get in the classroom, do your homework, get ahead. Some people's like, oh, I don't need the SAT scores. It's not going to hurt you. If I have a high SAT score, whether I show it to the colleges or not,
It's another thing that helps you get recruited.
Another tool.
Yep.
And just another thing I will add to the kids is let others speak about your game.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let others, like, seriously. And then when you do speak about your players, don't set them up for failure. And then part of it, like, because it turns coaches off. I've asked coaches will be like, man, this coach said this player was this. Then when I watched the kid play, he was lazy. Like he didn't play any defense. He was one dimensional, yada yada. But his coach had talked this kid up, and I'm like, you put that target on that kid's back when he really is not ready.
He wasn't ready for
right?
it. Yep.
And so it's preparing that kid. So when you speak of him, you're telling the truth. You're not just. I'm not just exaggerating, right? I want to tell the truth about players that I coach, and that's why I'm on my players when I'm training them. Like, you need to have this.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you score at all three levels?
Yeah.
Do you know how to pass? Like, you know how many kids don't know how to pass, and they don't think ball handling is a part of passing,
Or how to step into a pass. Like,
meet a pass, right?
Yeah.
Or how to throw a bounce pass,
Yeah.
or understanding when, what, the difference of when I drive and I'm in traffic, am I making direct line passes
Yeah.
right into guys' bodies in their hands, right?
Yep.
Am I passing high or am I passing low?
Yeah.
Like these little different things and all of this stuff. And I know we're bouncing around into stuff because we were talking about the portal, but a lot of this stuff plays a role from high school guys.
Yeah.
Like the game has changed. If you're a high school player and you think people are just running after you and chasing you, I think it was 2,500 guys were in the transfer portal.
Ooh,
So
that is a lot.
So you think about how many. So if we talk about just D1 schools, how many D1 schools are nationwide, and you think about how many players are in the transfer portal,
Yeah.
and then you start to factor in like these high school guys that are like, I'm that dude. Ooh, man, you're up against way more. And so the better you prepare yourself on the court and off the court, the better chance you have of being recruited. That's just facts.
Yeah.